Story 1. Emile visits for less than 48 hours, just to ignore my kids. I'm over it. I honestly don't even know where to start. I'm just so angry. I've had my fair share of issues with my Emile over the years, but this latest visit? It's the straw that broke the camel's back. Emile lives about 5 to 6 hours away, and even though she's retired, she's constantly pressuring my husband and me to make the trip. My husband's in the military, and I recently left the service to start a new job, which means my PTO is super limited. We've spent so much time and money visiting her over the years, including a crazy expensive trip from Alaska and an exhausting 13-hour drive with a 2-month-old baby on Christmas Eve because we were guilt into it. Now, we have legit reasons not to travel. Limited PTO, demanding jobs with zero flexibility, the kids' school schedules. Emile lives in a tiny house, and the nearest hotel is almost an hour away. My Estelle is married to a guy who is downright awful, racist, sexist, condescending, immature. I cannot stand him, and I don't want my kids around him. Emile is obsessed with him, which makes me really question her judgment when it comes to my kids. I'd rather use my precious PTO on a real family vacation, which we haven't had in years. So, recently, Emile complained that she hadn't seen our kids in over a year. My husband invited her to visit for spring break, and we went all out cleaning the house, buying groceries, planning meals. She told us she'd arrive Tuesday, but then didn't bother to tell us she changed her plans until my husband called to check in. She ended up showing up late Wednesday. On Thursday, after I cooked a nice dinner, she refused to eat because she had stuffed herself with Chick-fil-A earlier. I swear, no more cooking for her when she visits. Today, I took PTO to spend some time with her, but instead, she spent most of the day video chatting with Estelle and her 7 kids, 3 stepkids and 7 foster kids, kids she sees regularly because they all live in the same town. Meanwhile, she ignored my own kids, who were outside playing. At one point, she started crying on the phone, telling Estelle's kids how much she missed them, after spending less than 2 days here and barely acknowledging my kids who she hadn't seen in over a year. I had to leave the room. It was honestly sickening. Then, Emile made up some vague excuse to leave early, and she took off today around noon, even though she was supposed to stay until Sunday. My kids were so upset by her sudden departure. To sum it all up, she was supposed to stay from Tuesday to Sunday, but spent less than 48 hours here. During that time, she mostly napped, sat on the couch scrolling on her phone, and prioritized video calls with Estelle's kids over spending time with my own. I'm done. I told my husband that's it, no more visits and no more putting in the effort. She can make time for Estelle's kids, but not for ours. Tomorrow, we're taking the kids on an impromptu zoo trip to make them feel better and have some real family fun, something their grandparents couldn't even stick around for. Comment 1. On the upside, Estelle kids have been guilt and manipulated by her so much they already dance to her. Do you miss me? Am I the best tune? Your kids still retain their own ability to judge and asses her. Good riddance to her before she plays mind games with your littles. Comment 2. I told my husband no more visits here and no more making the effort for her. My guess, this won't happen again anyway. She's getting old and her world is getting smaller. She traveled out of her comfort bubble. Just doing so was intimidating, as evidenced by her dawdling. Then she was anxious to go back to her bubble, which is why she left early. Her daughter et al. Are a part of her comfort bubble. She spent all that time video chatting with them because she was seeking the comfort of that bubble. Absolutely none of this is about you. Her ability to leave home has severely diminished, which no one could have known until this trip. It sounds like she lacks the insight to recognize what is going on with her. She will explain her actions by making up stories about things and events exterior to her, when the real reasons are interior. She's not lying. It's more a kind of confabulation to fill in for the insight and vocabulary she lacks. Keep an eye out for cognitive decline. I feel like my post is a lead balloon. I'm sorry for that. Comment 3. Well, the next time she complains about not seeing your kids, you should have a ready response. Well, you were with these grandkids for less than 48 hours and spent more time on the phone with the ones you see every day than you did with the ones you complained about not seeing. Comment 4. MIL wants to be chased. And you'll never be fast enough. I'm so glad y'all are dropping the rope. Story 2. MIL is hated by more and more people. I made this account because my regular one would definitely sell me out. This story is so wild and hilarious, I had to share it with people who'd actually get it. A little backstory. I've been with my husband for a decade, though we've known each other for much longer. He's a great guy, but for years, he was super enmeshed with his mom. Honestly, it felt like she was his other partner at times. She immediately hated me and even accused me of taking him and my stepkid away from her. Well, after years of dealing with her nonsense, my husband has finally wised up. He's now on very low contact with her. He only talks to her when she calls him. Since he stopped being her emotional supply, she's absolutely a narcissist. I know because my dad has diagnosable NPD, so I can spot it a mile away. He barely hears from her. But, of course, this weekend, things took a turn. DH's cousin passed away, and MIL? She's forbidden from attending the wake. The mother of the deceased actually said, "If you show up, we'll call the cops." I mean, I've never heard of someone being banned from a wake before. Like, seriously, what did she do to get banned? DH has no idea, but something clearly went down for this to happen. Just had to share this with a group who would actually understand how insane this all is. Comment 1. We moved to the same town my MIL lives in during the pandemic and discovered people from the local hardware store would run to avoid helping her, and a bakery had employees tense whenever she came in. My MIL has told my husband, "No one besides Mama Two Babas has ever not liked me." LOL. People don't tell her they don't like her because they don't want to deal with her. All advice from F-File and S-File about her is to just ignore her. I find it very sad and ironic that people are enabling her because she's difficult to deal with, but her never being called out or held accountable has allowed her to be completely unaware. I don't get people like this. They ignore the cues and hints and even outright, blunt declarations of disdain from others to the point there needs to be huge consequences to fend them off. Comment 2. Well, at least you know that you're not the only one she doesn't get along with. Comment 3. At least you won't have to deal with her if you all go to the services. Story 3. What's the dumbest thing your mother-in-law has said to you? I'll go first. My ML asked my husband and me to come over for a chat during a time when we were very low contact with her. She started complaining that we never spend enough time with her. At the time, we had just had our second baby, so we were focused on family and weren't seeing anyone much. I asked her why she didn't just invite us over for dinner or something. Her response? "There are too many mosquitoes at my house, so you should have just invited me to yours." The thing is, she lived in a granny flat in our backyard. So the mosquitoes were basically the same everywhere. Looking back, we had hoped that having her living on our property would mean extra help and maybe even a babysitter if needed. But instead, we ended up going no contact and selling the house to escape her narcissism. Live and learn, I guess. Comment 1. Demanded my elementary school-age daughter perform a dance on command for her and her weird boyfriend. My daughter said, "No thank you," over and over. The pleading escalated. "If you love me, you'll show me your dance. Don't be shy. You're saying no to me because mommy is here." I let this happen for 5 minutes before stepping in. My daughter was doing a great job asserting herself, but I had enough. "She's not a dog that performs tricks on command," she said no. She turned to me and said, "I bet you dance for my son." We all said, "You," and she changed the subject. Comment 2. My favorite is when I was having yet another respiratory illness. My MILFH said that I should just cut my hair to be cured. Why? Because when she was young, her sister was sick for a long time with something, she didn't even know with what, and after they cut her sister's hair, she recovered. Sigh. My guess is they cut the sister's hair because she wouldn't hold still to get it brushed, and it was matted and tangled from the long illness. Not cause of the cure, but because sister was finally well enough to have things like hair being a mess be handled. MILF was stupid about so many things, and also very, very clever when it came to manipulating people or juggling the various lies being told to multiple people to try to succeed in one of her complicated schemes. Comment 3. Before I married her baby boy, we were looking at venues. This woman was a proud Polish woman, come to find out not a lick of polish. She asked the venue if there was going to be security. Look on all our faces was like, what? She then says her family is Italian. One of many things that she has said. We are in C with her. Best thing we ever did. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we will see you in the next video.